So I have an hour. 1 hour to myself, no kids, husband's out of town. My mom who's visiting is hanging out in her room. Can I tell you how much I need this time? Because I'm telling you, it's been a little too long since I've had alone time, and I am on the verge. On the verge of what? Pick it. You name it, because I am sure that I could go that way. Because although I'm an extrovert, I am an introvert. Or I'm an introverted extrovert, or I don't know how you would call it, but basically what it comes down to is I love being around people. I love hanging out with my friends, and I am social, and any of my friends would laugh at the fact that I said I'm an introvert, right? They would say, no way. I think it's more that I just need space, sound, physicality, just to be by myself and to fully recharge, because man, if I don't get that time and it's been too long, I start to get grumpy. So let's see what I can do to get out of this situation, because right now I have an hour and it doesn't seem like enough. Doesn't seem like enough, and it's not. And I will take more time later, but right now I have this hour. And I am going to use it to do the thing that I am excited about, and that is talking to you. So let's get into this. So my name is Mitch, and I live in a small town in Texas. It's got like a couple of street lights, and it's very, very exciting. Actually, it might be one of the fastest growing places in Texas right now, because it's just crazy. The building is nonstop. But I live out in the country. Like, I literally ride a lawnmower to mow our lawn, and it's fun. We don't have any goats or cows or sheep. We do have a couple of dogs and cats, so nothing crazy there. Not to say that we aren't looking to expand into that area, but that's down the road for right now. What I do have, like I said, besides the cats and the dogs, is a family that I adore. I have my husband, Andrew. I call him my hunka burning love. So if you ever hear me referring to someone like that, that would be him. And I have my two beautiful baby girls, courtesy of invitro. So for any of you out there knowing what that journey is like, we'll get into that later, because you know it's tough. There was a long time where I really wanted to be a mom, and it didn't seem possible. And now I have it. So everything that I say, know that when I say it, man, I do not take motherhood for granted. It's something that is a blessing to me, and that I am aware of how beautiful and wonderful and lucky that I have it, because not everyone gets the chance. And there are a lot of people out there that wish they could. And motherhood is still motherhood, no matter how you got there, right? So the reason I wanted to get together with you, my little fun-rich mama, and chat with you about what's going on in my world is because I know that when you share things, when you get raw and vulnerable and down into that nitty-gritty, there's someone else out there that has your same story and needed to hear it. Because I myself have been healed by other people being vulnerable, and by sharing those things that they wanted to hide in the closet. And then I thought, if this ever came out, it would destroy me. And instead, it healed someone else and became something wonderful. So I want to build this community. I want to build this group of women that are amazing mothers, that love the fact that they get to mold and create these beautiful humans that contain a piece of them and grow them into these wonderful, amazing people. And that also recognize that to do this and to do a really good job of it, they need to continue to mold and develop themselves. Because so many of us, when we become moms, self-included, and I'll tell you a little story of how I got there, is we forget that we're more than mom. We get stuck in this mom role, like the mom factory default settings come on, and I sometimes I call mom mighty overwhelmed mortal mode, because literally you're just doing one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and you forget to refill yourself. You forget that you were this really cool chick before these kids came along, and that you had all of these interests and desires that you like to do and that were fun, and that you could carry on a conversation that didn't have to do anything around being a parent, right? I used to go out with people and talk about things not child related, and sometimes that's like incomprehensible to me right now. I'll go out with my husband and we'll sit down, and inevitably the kids will always come up, right? At some point in time, the kids will come up, and I just think, oh, well, that's where we are in life right now, and that's great, and it's wonderful because we love our girls. And then I also try to remember, let's mix it up a little and make sure that we're talking about our dreams, that we're talking about our desires. We're talking about where we're at and where we would like to go, because the purpose of me was not to just be born to raise other girls, to raise other children, to be born to raise other children, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's a bit of truth in that, right? That's the cycle of life. Can't get past that. The purpose of me, though, was there was a dream that I have. And for me to be an outstanding mother is to show my children how to go after and achieve that dream. Because otherwise, all I am is talk to them. All I am is telling them from books and from stories, but I'm not showing them real life evidence that it's possible. And I don't want them to say, I don't know if that stuff that mom told us was really true, and then get stuck in the grind and just feel like they're going through the motions of life. I want them to see in front of their faces an actual experience. Mom said, I can do this. I can pursue things, and it'll be work. And sometimes it'll be hard, and that's okay. That's part of the journey, and it's achievable. It's attainable. It's something that you can do. So that's why I'm here with you, because this is my dream. This is my goal, is going out there and, like I said, creating this community of women that feel empowered, this community of moms that know that they are mom and beyond, and that life can be so fun and so rich. And that's why we're here. It starts with us first. And as I like to, I don't actually say it, but there's the saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? I know we've all heard it. So we might as well work on getting mama happy. And how do we do that? Well, we do that by making sure that we are refueling ourselves and that we're living up to the dreams inside of us, that we're at least attempting life. And it doesn't mean that just because you didn't achieve every single dream and every single thing that you wanted, that all those goals, that if there were failures, you know what? Celebrate those failures. That's good. You know why celebrating failures is good? Because it means that you went out and you tried something. People who don't fail never try anything. So celebrate that. That is a goal in life. And how many times can you fail and get back up and try something new and go out and try and try and try again? So I'll be sharing some of the things that I've learned in my journeys. I've had a really cool experience in my life where, I'm going to take it back here and we're going to do a little story time with Mama Mitch. You ready? Here we go. Once upon a time, I was single for a very, very, very long time. I had grown up in Northern California. I got my degree in theater and I moved down to LA because I wanted to become the next big star. Yes! And instead, I became the next bitter broke bartender. Who would have guessed? And I can't say that I was bitter. I've never been bitter. That's just not in my DNA. It's very hard, right? I might be bitter for like a minute and then it just goes away because that's just not me. But I was pretty broke and I was bartending. And of course, I was realizing that I was failing at my dreams, and I was not because I was going out and doing things. It was more so because I wasn't even trying, right? And as much as it was disappointing at the time, in retrospect, I think it was such a great thing to happen to me because it changed the trajectory of my life. And it also gave me background for who I want to be and how I want to show up now. Because I went after that dream that I had since, oh my gosh, since I can remember. Maybe I was a little kid and we'd go and we'd see a movie, right? The first thing that I'd do is go run home and sit in front of a mirror and act it out again, and I'd cry and I'd laugh and I'd love and I'd do all the parts. And so that was who I wanted to be. I wanted to entertain. I wanted people to feel things because I helped them feel things. And when I got down there, it was like I didn't even really attempt it. I mean, I got the headshots. I got into an acting class. I did some background work, just enough to get my SAG card. And that's really about it. I attempted to do some stuff with some friends, but I never really went out and did the work that it took in order to become a successful working actor. And if there's anyone out there that's on that path, go for it. It's work. You got to go out and do it. Just do it. Get over your fears, just knock on the doors. Get in the classes. Get in front of everyone that you can get in front of and do the work. And I just had too much fear around it. So anyway, long story short, while I was out, long story even longer, I ended up in like a 9-year drought of being with anyone. And when I say 9, maybe it was 8 or 9 years. I'm not saying, I dated here and there and I just didn't have any relationships. No. It was like tumbleweeds. It was no one. It was nothing. So you can see how this is all working on my self-confidence. I'm broke. I'm bartending. I'm not doing the acting. And I'm single and alone. I'm in LA. Just these things are not looking my way. So I ended up getting involved in a network marketing company that happened to be in travel, which was really cool because I ended up getting some of these really great deals and traveling around the world with my mom and some friends. So yay, kudos there. Got some good experiences and I made some new friends, which is always good. But the biggest thing that I have to give credit to that company was that they were huge in personal development and making sure that you really focused on who you are as an individual and starting to work on yourself to become better. And that's a world I hadn't really been introduced to. So I found out about the Tony Robbins of the world and all of the people, and I started to get immersed into that world. And that's when I really started to learn that, hey, you know what? You really get to control the outcome of your life. And it may not be the outcome that hey, I make $1 million today. Maybe it is. But it's the outcome of I choose my attitude every single day. I choose when I get up, whether I get up on the wrong side of the bed or that I am going to have a great day. And I choose when my kids are crying and going crazy, whether I react to them and I become a monster, back to them, or, I take a breath and I step back and say, okay, we need to try a different tactic here. Let's get everyone back on track. I get to choose the reactions that I have to the reality around me every single day. And it was a little bit of a long lesson for me to learn, obviously, but eventually life started to change. So I ended up in Texas, and oddly, I met a guy from California. So we met playing sand volleyball, and he knew he was going to marry me right away. Apparently, someone who turned out to be a later mutual friend of ours ended up saying to him, hey, did you see the new girl? And he saw me. We were in this singles club, and he saw me, and he's like, I'll marry that. And I didn't know this for a while, and it took us a little bit of time to get, in sync with each other, but then we did, and we ended up getting married, and that's a fun story for another time. But when we got together, I was 34, and I was 36 when we got married, so I was 34 when we got together, so 36, never been married before, so I'm a bit of an older bride, and I wanted kids. I didn't know that I was ready for it, but here I am, 36, and he'd been married before and had kids, but was ready to have another child as well. So knowing where I was in my timeline, we were like, okay, let's go for this thing. And we tried, 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 and nothing was working. So we went to go see some doctors, and we started getting all the tests done. And we were what was considered unexplained infertility. Yeah, nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with him. Great, just exactly the answer you're looking for. So then we went and we tried all the other things. We tried the acupuncture, we tried the IUIs, I had my feet up in the air. I'm sure there were diets that we tried, like every single different thing that you can find, right, on infertility. And finally we ended up doing IVF. And it was on the second round where we finally became parents to our first daughter. Hooray! So we have 2 girls, and the second one, so I knew I wanted to have 2 kids, and I was 41 when I delivered, I turned 41 11 days after I delivered my first daughter, and I asked the doctor, I said, how long do I have to wait? Because if I wait very long, it ain't gonna happen. And he said, okay, give yourself at least 6 months. So 6 months later, ding, 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 there I am. And I'm like, hey, what's up? Remember, let's do this thing. And I ended up with our second daughter. So right together, they're 15 months apart. And it's a lot of work. It was a lot of work, especially when they were young. And we were living in a really great place at the time, but we wanted to have more land. We wanted to get out into the country. And Andrew's parents, they had been living in California, and they moved out to Texas, and they found this small town where we're living right now. We'd never heard of it. We'd never discovered it before, but we were like, oh, this is a cool place. So the way the timing worked out and just everything, we finally ended up selling our house, and we bought a lot, and we were going to build here. And we moved into this little rental, 1972 original, like 1,300 square feet, and just dark brown, everything, dark brown, original kitchen, no disposal, no microwave. I know these are first world problems, but I tell you, living there for a while, it adds up. And then they had these big awnings outside and these gorgeous mature trees, which were beautiful when you were outside, but when you were inside, it made everything super dark. And it was like we were in this dark box with all of our furniture pushed everywhere, toys everywhere, 1.5, 2.5-year-old running around, and then COVID hits. And my husband still gets to work, and I've been traveling the world for probably 5 or 6 years. So I've been traveling the world actually doing coaching because we turned our lives around so much, and I got into this position with this company, the network marketing company. And basically where I would go to their training events and I would coordinate their volunteer staff. And as a thank you, we would do personal development coaching for them. And, it was super fun. And it was in partnership with another amazing lady who had put the program together and had approached me. So here I was, like I said, I went from being large and in charge, traveling the world at least 6 to 12 times a year and having friends all over the place and running a room and being at the front and on stage and helping people to change their lives, letting them know that you control your reality and you control your reactions. And now COVID hits and the company shuts down. I have one client that I'm working for, and even with them, it was pretty stressful because they were having a hard time. And I have these 2 babies at home. And while everyone was making a run on toilet paper, I also happened to notice that the cookie dough seemed to be low at the store. So I thought, oh, people are onto something. Maybe I should join them. And I'm pretty sure you can guess how that ended up. Not so good. And the most interesting thing about my day, when Andrew would come home, I would be telling him, I changed 5 poopy diapers today. 5. Our kids eat well. And I was like, woo, talk about a confidence gut. And there was one day that the girls were just running around doing their thing. I'm tripping over toys. I'm bumping into things. It's the super dark house, and I was just annoyed. They were just being 2 and 3. Nothing crazy, just normal 2 and 3-year-olds, right? As a mom, you know how they are. And they're just running around and they're screaming, and just I lost it. I totally lost it in that moment, and I became the monster, like literally monster. And I just remember screaming. I don't remember what I said, but I remember in my mind, I literally told myself, make yourself sound so mean and scary that they'll think you're a monster and just shut up. No joke. And these beautiful little girls are just looking at me with these wide eyes, and they're just confused. They don't really get what's going on, thank goodness. And they're just kind of looking lost and like, what happened to mommy? And of course I look at their eyes and I think, oh my God, what have I done? I've just become the worst mom in the world. And I start bawling, like snot running down my nose and face, the big ugly bawling, nothing pretty about it. And I'm hugging them, and I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. And I feel like the worst person in the world. And that's when I hit my rock bottom. And I'm thinking, who am I? Literally earlier this year, I was traveling around the world telling people, you're the one who gets to choose how you react. You don't have to let the world decide for you how to react. You get to choose that. And here I was losing my shit. And I'm thinking, if I know all this stuff and I can barely handle it, I can only imagine what else is going on out there in the world. And again, it was a great lesson because I had to pull myself out again, and I realized I need to get myself together for me, for my family, my husband, my daughters. And because I know that there are other women out there that are going through the same thing. And they just need to hear from someone else to know that they're normal, that they are okay, that nothing is wrong with them, and that this is part of motherhood, and you can also get over that too. So I'm happy to report at this point in time, maybe a couple more monster moments, but over the last few years, they really haven't been happening because I've gotten back on track, and I've been working to make sure that life becomes simpler and uncomplicate things as much as I can, to work and dance with the flow of life rather than resisting it and pushing it away. And that's where we end up today on this podcast, which I gotta give props to my husband because he's the one who came up with the idea, because I want to do like all these crazy Hollywood things. Like I was literally ready to invest in a crane because I had these, I was going to do some flying shots, and we didn't have the budget for it, but I would figure it out, and it was going to be really, really cool. And it was just getting all sorts of crazy. And Andrew, he's so great. He just looks at me, he's like, why don't you just do a podcast? And literally it was like, light bulb moment in my life at that time. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you're so smart. This is why I married you. And this is a great idea because it's simple, and simplicity is the best way to go. So here we are. We get to spend some time together. We're going to do it all. We are going to talk about being mom, right? We're going to talk about being beyond mom. All of the things that we need to be to refuel ourselves so that we can be those great parents that we dreamed of. And so we can be the passionate relationship that, when we were little girls, we didn't think about being a princess and being rescued so that one day we could live in a stuck in routine or bored or walking on eggshells or, living with a roommate situation. We wanted it to be happily ever after. And again, we get into these routines. So relationships, we're going to be talking about that. And we're going to be talking about friendships because, oh my gosh, how many I Need a Friend mom groups are there on Facebook? Or you see the posts on Facebook where it's just like, this is what a friend is. And as long as you call me once every blue moon, and that's, however long, then I'm okay. That's all that I need. And there's just so much more, We're going to talk about having passions and pursuing them. And we're going to talk about, I like decorating. I do. I love HGTV. I watch it when I work out. So I'm probably going to be talking about decorating. You know why? Because it matters to me, and I'm guessing that there's some other people that like to pay attention to their homes too. So we're in on that one. And we're just going to do it all because that's who we are as women and mothers. So I like to think of us as a beautiful diamond. And you can't have a diamond that shines brilliantly with just one cut. It has to have all of those different facets that are catching the light in order for it to be brilliant. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our little diamonds out. We're going to buff it up, put some light on it, and make it shine and sparkle so that we can really go out there and live these fun, rich lives that we know we are capable of. Is there going to be some stuff that comes down every now and then? Are we going to run into some trouble? Sure. Yeah. It's part of life. We can't get over that. That's part of the experience. So it's just, how do you take it and run with it after that though? And what are your time frames? Ooh, this is a good one. Are you living in it for a long time? Like when something happens, are you the type of person that drags it around with you forever? Are you taking it and saving it? Or are you saying, okay, got it. I can get over it. Moving on. I appreciate the lesson and let's rock this thing. So I am so excited about continuing this journey with you. And we're going to have some guests as well. I have access to, I think, some really amazing people. And I also want to do something coming down the road that I'm going to call Come As You Are. This one I'm really excited about because it's just going to be interviewing some friends of mine or just moms that I meet, just daily moms that I meet, because sometimes the best stories are just hearing like your neighbor and how they run their day in their life. And hearing like, oh, you do that too? Okay, great, me too. And it doesn't have to be an expert. It just needs to be someone that you hear your story in and it makes you feel alive and better and more confident. So we'll be doing that too. Really looking forward to that. And this is going to be interactive. So comment, email me, let me know what it is that you want to hear. What is it that you're needing? Because I would love to hear it and see what I can do to walk us through that together. Okay? And we'll just grow this friendship. And as with anything, especially with women, man, we work best in communities. So if you've got anyone that you know that feels the same way and they just know that there's more in life and that they want to be the best mom and beyond, please share this episode with them and let them know. Just say, hey, come with me. Let's lock arms with this crazy chick. Let's go have some fun and let's grow together because life is so much more fun when you do it with friends, right? Now with that, I'm going to leave you with a cheesy joke. Why? Because I love cheesy jokes. It's just, most people call them dad jokes. We call them mom jokes. And now I've got my girls doing them. Anytime we're at a store, they're telling the jokes and it's such a pleasure. So, are you ready? What do you call a fish with no eyes? Fish. All right, ladies, with that, make it a fun, rich life. Until next week, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.